Hello everyone, Sergi Babik here, you're hooked for a nice meal. Today I'm gonna cold smoke whitefish. Let's get started. This is the beautiful whitefish that we caught at Banks Lake. I'm gonna start butterflying this fish with the bigger knife. It's a lot easier when the knife has some weight on it and it's really sharp. So what I usually do, place my knife next to the carcass on the side of it at the rib cage on the bottom and apply pressure an angle a little bit. Oh, hold on just a sec. Just like that. It's a little bit more challenging with the lighter knife, but if your knife is very sharp, you shouldn't have any issues. Same thing on this side, on angle a little bit. And there we go. Then I use smaller dexter knife and separate carcass from the flesh on both sides, just like that. Then my knife over the carcass and glide it all the way back. And make sure it's all separated, all of the flesh from the carcass. Same thing on this side. Knife over the carcass, glide it back, and separate the rest of the flesh from the carcass. Turn this around, grab by the tail, and just pull out like that. And now I'm gonna remove the ribs. I use my 9-inch Dexter fillet knife to remove the ribs, same way as you filleting a fish, but I'm leaving the fin and the neck, so it's a little bit more challenging to cut around that. Just place the knife next to the rib cage and hold it with my left hand and just like that. Be really careful not to fillet your hand. Just like that. Same thing on this side. Just make sure you hold in the ribs with the left hand, or use your technique the way you usually do. Just like that, and I'm gonna remove this part, and it's easier to remove the rest of them. It's always the last few rib bones is the tougher to remove because they're curved next to the head. So this is it. This is how it's supposed to look. Butterflied whitefish. I have quite a few whitefishes to butterfly, so let me butterfly the rest of them. Then we're gonna start preparing the spices. After butterflying our fish, we are ready to mix our spices. So we're gonna start with salt, 1.5 cups of sea salt, and we're gonna add 2.8 tablespoons of pink salt. That's gonna help us to cure the fish. 2 cups of brown sugar, 6 bay leaves, 1/4 cup of Johnny seasoning, and 4 tablespoons of Vegeta. You don't have to use this. I use it because I like the taste of it. I'm gonna place everything to food processor except brown sugar. All of the spices and 6 bay leaves. 1. That's good enough right there. Almost forgot about the pink salt. The reason I place all of my seasoning into food processor to break down big chunks of seasoning, dried up salt. And now I'm gonna put my brown sugar in it and do same thing. It's gonna be a lot easier to sprinkle all of these spices on top of my fish. Good. Okay, so we mixed our seasoning. We'll dump it in this big bowl. And we're gonna remix everything really good. Make sure everything mixed. There is still some big old crumbs of brown sugar. Make sure to break everything down. Look at this consistency. This is how we want it. No big chunks, and even those bay leaves, it's all break down to fine pieces. Just gonna help to remix a little bit, and we are good to go. So I'm gonna lay out all of my fish here and pat dry it with the paper towel. All right. Of course, I'm not gonna get rid of all of the moisture, as much as we can. Next, I'm gonna wash my hands to make sure all of the fish juice is out of my hands, because I'm gonna use the spices to sprinkle on the bottom of my bin. Then I'm gonna lay out my fish and sprinkle over my fish. I placed my bin down on two smaller chairs so it's not too high so you guys can see it. So just sprinkle to cover the bottom of the bin a little bit. Doesn't have to be really heavy, just like that. After blender, it's so much easier. You can control how much seasoning to put on. Okay, that's good right there. Then I'm gonna place my fish on the bottom of the bin. Just like that. And I wash my hands every time I touch the fish, because that seasoning, probably not all of it gonna go. The rest of it, I'm gonna place it in a little container and save it for the next time. Sprinkle it like that. Not too heavy, but you can see just enough. That's good right there. Then I'm gonna spray it with the soy sauce. After spraying with the soy sauce, you still can add a little bit if you see bare areas. That's good right there. Add right there a little bit, that's good enough. And this hand, I touch my seasoning. This hand, I touch my fish. And we'll place it opposite. Make sure it's nice and straight. No wrinkles. Same thing with this one. Just like that. A wrinkle right there a little bit, fix that. Same thing with this layer. spray over with the soy sauce. Alright. Yeah, you can always add a little bit if you need to, if you see bare areas. That's good right there. The reason I'm using my one hand for spices and the other hand touching the fish, because all of the spice is not going to be used, and to prevent from contamination you have to make sure all of those juices out of your spices. Otherwise you're going to place your spices in the bin, room temperature, they're going to get bad. Our fish all seasoned up, brined up, and ready to be placed in the fridge anywhere from 10 to 12 hours. And this is the leftover spices I was telling you about. I'm gonna place them in a container and save them for the next time. See you guys in 10 to 12 hours. Good morning everyone, it's been 10 hours. It's time to take out of our fish from brine and rinse really good in the cold water. Okay, so I'm gonna take the lid off and place it over the sink. This is how our fish look like after 10 hours. There is still big chunks of spices left on the fillets, so we're gonna wash everything off, and the juices that in the bin, we're gonna strain them into the bowl. On our water till it gets very cold. You don't want to rinse your fish in the warm water. That's no-no. It's cold enough, and just rinse everything off. And just place them on top of the lid. Okay. I'm gonna save this juice. We're gonna need it for a little bit later. So what I'm gonna just make sure it's mixed really good. Strain it into the bowl. And this is our juices, and for now we're gonna put this aside. I'm gonna fill this bin with the cold water and place our fish for about 10-15 minutes. If you want a little bit more salt, you can brine for about 12 hours. It's very thin fillets, so I'm just gonna place them in the water, let them sit. It's been 10 minutes, I'm gonna take our fish out. Now we're gonna put it back in the bin. After finish rinsing our fish, now we're gonna dip them in the same juices that we strained. The reason for washing off our fish, to wash off extra excess of salt and spices, big chunks, we strained our juices or sauce, and we wanna dip our fish back in that juice to get the spices on it, so you can taste the spices. So this is the juice. We're gonna put this in the platter. You don't have to do this, but I really like the taste of this juices or the spices and everything. And if I would just not rinse it, leave it the way it is, it would be too salty, a lot of big chunks of spices. and it doesn't taste really good. So dip our fish back in this sauce or this juices, however you want to call it. And I'm gonna place it on the screen where the excess of juices can run off and drip off and kind of dry a little bit. Okay. So just dip our fish back into that sauce. And as you can see, that none of the big chunks of spices on our fish anymore. That's the reason we strain our juice, or it's a sauce now. We can call this sauce. And believe me, I tried to smoke our fish after I rinsed, and it was not the same. The spices in these juices, they take it to different level. Yeah, look how beautiful it is. No big chunks of spices. All of this juice or sauce gonna run off a little bit, dry up a little bit. Then we're gonna place it on a paper towel and kind of dip dry it. Now I'm gonna roll out some of this paper towel, multiple layers to lay out our fish and pet dry it. And just pet dry it. Some of the sauce penetrate in, the extra excess we're gonna try to get it out by paper towel. Not too much, just like this. Just a little bit so it's not dripping. Just like that. And the next step, we're gonna lay them out on our dehydrator screens. I will spray our screens with PAM so fish does not stick to it. And it doesn't have to be a lot, just a that's good right there. Place our fish on screens. And as you already know, after this, the fish with the screens gonna go into dehydrator. Our fish is ready to be placed into dehydrator. Okay. I'm really happy with this dehydrator. It's so much space. I can place about 30 white fishes in one time. It do the job very well. All right. I set the temperature to 95 degrees, 17 hours. Smoking a whitefish, it's a little bit different than smoking a salmon or trout. You do want to add a little extra temperature because of the white meat. After 17 hours, you want to see that juices start coming out, fat start to melt a little bit. See you guys after 17 hours. We are ready to place our fish in a smoker. It's been 12 hours. I decided not to wait all 17 hours because I see the juices start coming out. So this is a good sign. So it's ready to go into the smoker. It's gonna take about 6 hours for our fish to get smoked, and in about 3 hours I'm gonna rotate our fish. The one that on the bottom I'm gonna put them on top so our fish gets smoked equally. We're gonna have 2 cigarettes so we can have a little bit more smoke. This is our 2 cigarettes. We're gonna light them up, so that's gonna give us more temperature and more smoke. It's been a minute. Because of wind, our fire is still going. We want to stop burning, just smoking. All right, it's ready to be placed in our smoker. I'm gonna place it in our bottom drawer. Right in the center, and let's take a look if it's smoking. Oh yeah, it's smoking really good. So see you guys in 6 hours. It's been 6 hours, our fish is done, finished smoking. Let's try it. Let's find out how good it is. Look at this color, look how beautiful it is. It's juicy, it looks so good. Let's slice it and try it out. There we go. Gonna put this fish aside and slice it. Okay, let's slice the end of these. And look how beautiful it is. Juice is coming out. It's not completely cold smoke. It's in between cold and hot. And for a whitefish, that's how you want it. Let's try this. Wow. When it comes to salt, right on the money. I can taste all of the spices. That's all we got for you guys on this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Please thumbs up and leave the comments below. See you guys on the next one.